Would like to hear him out here.
Yeah, project.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Love you, Bill.
Really? That's-
It is 7:34. We have returned from executive session to our public session. If we could please call the roll.
Mr. Spicer?
Here.
Dr. Collins?
Here.
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Ryder?
Here.
Ms. Corsones?
Here.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Mr. Lamb?
Here.
Ms. Kearns? Here. Dr. Bernabé?
Here. And we have a student.
And Ms. Collier?
Here.
If we could stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one action coming out of executive session, BOE 30, the resolution to amend BOE 13. Whereas on August 20th, 2025, the Board of Education adopted resolution number BOE 13, which abolished the Director of Special Education K-12 in District, Assistant Director of Special Education Secondary, and Assistant Director of Special Education Elementary, effective October 9th, 2025. Be it resolved that the effective date to abolish the above positions is hereby amended to November 6th, 2025. And be it further resolved that all other provisions of Resolution BOE 13 shall remain in effect.
So moved. Second.
All in favor of BOE 30?
Aye.
Any opposed? BOE 30 has been approved. That brings us to the approval of minutes from the September 24th meeting. If I could have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes from September 24th? All in favor of accepting those minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes from September 24th are approved. That brings us to our public comment session. We have several people. Good evening, everyone. We are about to enter the portion of the meeting where we welcome public comments. Although state law does not require that we hold a public comment period, we feel it is crucial that we hear from our community about their concerns. The board is here to listen. Your concerns and questions may be addressed at a future meeting of the board, or you may be contacted by the appropriate staff member or administrator. If you have prepared a written statement and do not have the opportunity to present it, please leave it with the clerk of the board, who will see that all trustees receive it. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and this public comment period will not exceed 30 minutes in total. It is important to note that state and federal privacy laws and collective bargaining agreements prevent us from discussing certain topics in this venue, including specific employees or students and pending grievances or negotiations. Those comments are both for positive or negative remarks. Any speaker who does not adhere to these posted guidelines will forfeit the remainder of their time. Thank you for your adherence to the rules and your interest in the continuous improvement of our district. Our first speaker.
Helene Meisler?
Hello, good to see all of you again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So first, as I always start, just thank you for having this. I know you don't have to, and truly appreciate it. I have some comments, suggestions, and some questions. So the first is, the last time I was here, I talked about the importance of the bus drivers knowing the protocol and what to do should they be tailed by ICE. And then as I started thinking about it after I was home, I realized, whoa, do you guys have a policy for substitute teachers and substitute staff people who come for a day, a week, a month to make sure that they have training. And you very well may, I don't know. And so that protocol would be know your rights and know the rights of the kids and the families. Another thing we talked about was the danger and fear that a number of people from the community feel walking their children to bus stops, waiting with them at bus stops, and I don't have an answer for this, but I just wonder, is there a way to engage people who are citizens from each of the schools or each of the neighborhoods to wait at the bus stops with the kids? I know this would be a little bit of a nightmare to coordinate, but I feel for these parents and the kids and trying to think through what could possibly help. I'm wondering about the board resolution and what the status of that is. I think that was talked about maybe a month ago. And I'm also wondering, is there any particular type of support that you would want from community groups? So I'm here not speaking for Ulster Rapid Response, although I am a member of Ulster Rapid Response, and wondering if there is anything that we can do, offer, and I'm done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Franklin.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Dr. Sarah Franklin. I'm the parent of 2 children at GW Elementary. What I really want to say to tail Lane's comments, and I know many of the other communities want to say, is that if any child in any of our schools is not being kept safe because of an administrator, because of immigration status, neurotype, race, language, or any other categorization, then all children in the district are not safe. And that you, as our elected officials, and you, as our paid administrators, are responsible. We have put our faith in you to protect all children at all schools. And we need better from you. We need clarity of communication, we need transparency, and we need swift action. Right now, there's a school without a principal. There are children who are not being protected due to immigration status, and we as a community need to do better on all of their behalfs. Please, we are asking you, we are here to work with you, but we need you to hear us too. We need transparency, we need clear communication, and we need it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dylan Paul.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dylan Paul. I am a parent of a 11th grade student at the high school. And I thank you for hearing all of our comments. For several years, I've been hearing about discomfort would be a light way to say it, maybe sort of a toxic environment at one of the elementary schools. I have friends who have discussed a culture of intimidation, punishment, especially when they voice concerns or ask questions. Some faculty members have left. Some have talked about wanting to leave. As an educator myself, I know how much power a school leader has to shape the school culture. And when a school leader cultivates an environment of fear or silences the voices of faculty and parents, it has a direct impact on students' sense of safety, their well-being, and belonging. And it has a direct impact on learning. I've recently heard reports that I know they're not supposed to go into any details, but the reports give me a lot of pause. They are more egregious than I had previously known about. And I'm quite shocked that this has been allowed to continue for as long as I think it has. Along with many other members of the Kingston community, I'm here to ask for answers and demand accountability. Sadly, the students and families most affected by the situation are those most vulnerable. Our immigrant students and our students of color, those our school leaders have vowed to protect, support, and encourage. I want to take a moment to say that I've seen and heard lots of valuable indicators that Kingston is supporting our immigrant students and families in a climate that is not necessarily easy to do. And I applaud these efforts, but I want to emphasize the importance of backing these messages with real substance, with policies that protect our community members. Thank you.
Franny Newman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Franny. I made it out of the house. This was important enough for me to, yeah, I don't want to hurt anybody else. Okay, great. I also want to talk about safety. And alongside safety, I want to talk about accountability. This is a room of extreme privilege. This is a room of people that have been granted power in a variety of ways through election, through appointment, to be able to make change and affect a transformation, really, in our community. And when we are making calls for safety for our students, whether it is safety from ICE or safety from being separated from their families, or safety from the fear that those things are going to be happening to them, or safety in their classrooms, or safety from their principal, safety from being misunderstood because of neurodivergence, or because of a language barrier. All of those things cannot happen in a vacuum. We can make all the calls of safety that we want, but without the people in power making actual changes, and yes to the words that are being sent out that I are getting on my phone that are like, Panalino says this. I'm like, yes, great, good, good. And action is necessary. And transparency is necessary. Those are key parts of accountability to all of us, to our children. I'm a parent of a Bailey 7th grader. You should come see Cinderella. She's a stepsister. But truly, this is, we need action. And I know that things take time. I know that. And I know that they take a lot of effort. And in fact, to be done well, there's more time and more effort. And I am here to say, please, thank you for the service of this work that you have entered into. And please put in the time and effort. Also, to any Jews in the house, happy Sukkot.
Thank you.
Terrence Duval.
Good evening. Thank you for having this session. I feel privileged to be here because I think it's rare that we get a chance to speak up for children in this way, so thank you. I am a parent of 2 children at George Washington Elementary, and I'm also here to just encourage more and more consistent communication. I think something I've heard is we do get encouraging messages from teachers, from administration, and yet they don't always carry through. And a couple of examples I can think of is that we received an email a couple of weeks ago saying there's a change with George Washington, and we would be getting an update a week later, or within the week. And I don't believe we received that update. Another example I would point to is the encouraging notes that we're going to protect immigrant families and those who would be most vulnerable to ICE. But it wasn't translated for people who don't speak English. And then from what I understand, parents tried to transcribe that and print that in both English and Spanish to be delivered to students whose parents might not have access to those emails or be able to understand those emails. they were told that the school board would have to okay that, or the administration would have to okay that, and then it was never okayed. And so just pointing out that it was great that message was sent to parents. I don't know if all parents who needed to hear that message received it. And I think going forward, the more we can focus on clearing up communication and improving communication between particularly the parents of George Washington Elementary, because that's my perspective, the more we can help our children, your students, through this process of school. And that's what I think everybody in this room wants to do. And right now, as a parent, it feels like I have to rely on what my children tell me are happening at the school. And I don't know if I'm going to hear anything from the school or not. And it's hard to interpret what I hear from a first or a fourth grader as opposed to an administrator or a teacher. And as a parent, I honestly, most of the time, I don't know where to go to get those answers. I've sometimes written emails and not heard responses. So I'm here really just to encourage that communication. I know there's an interest. This might be an inflection point where we can come together and all pull together. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alana Berger.
Hi everybody. My name's Alana Berger. I have 2 kids in the district, one at the high school, one at Bailey. And actually, I've been at 2 open houses in the past 2 weeks, and every time I'm sitting in these buildings and I'm like, oh my God, this is where my kids spend all their time, and I love these teachers, and this building is awesome, and these kids are great, and I like really appreciate the school district. And you all are the ones that are like responsible for the safety and the well-being of our kids. And so while I'm very excited about lots of things in the district, I am really upset by what I've also seen at GW. I was a parent there for 9 years. Both of my girls went all the way through it. I was the co-chair of the PTO for many years, and I've known things have been bad for a while. I know we're not supposed to say specifics, so I won't. I'm really happy there's been some action taken. But I want to say it's bad enough that all that stuff was happening. I'm glad action was taken, but I want to be clear that parents, teachers, staff, and many others were raising the alarm for like 5 years. The superintendent, the deputy super, or whatever the name is of primary education, board members have all known for years that things were happening at GW. And I don't know why all of a sudden action happened. I don't think whatever final incident was any worse or any different than any number of other things that could have happened. And it is really unfortunate that we're here. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's really what I want to say. And so a few thoughts just in terms of like what I hope to see moving forward. A lot of people have talked about communication. I think that is absolutely right. I know people talk a lot about rumors. Well, the way rumors start is when we don't know what's actually happening. I know that like I've been at the high school, and the 2 or 3 years my kids have been at the high school, several assistant principals have sort of disappeared. And I don't actually even know why or what happened to them. I've heard lots of rumors. But that kind of stuff is just, as a parent and as a stakeholder in a district, is weird to see leadership in buildings just go away and not know what happened. I do think I asked the board to really look into what happened in the last few years over at GW and why things that were coming to leadership didn't get heard. And I'm particularly concerned about knowing that teachers and staff went to HR, and rather than anything happening, those people were retaliated against. And I do think like looking into the way our district is structured and how HR seems very, like how is there an independent human resources or entity that protects staff that is not connected to the leadership of the district seems like something that we might want to look into. I think that I've talked to more teachers who are terrified of speaking up than I've ever seen anywhere else. I've seen how teachers just get transferred across buildings at will, it seems like. And I don't know, if you build a relationship in a program in a school for a decade or so, it doesn't seem fair that you're always worried about just getting moved. Like I think the teachers do a huge amount of work. We should respect that. And then finally, this is totally unrelated, but I've been meaning to, I have this email in my inbox. I want to send it. I just want to say, I know that this year the state passed legislation to not allow cell phones in schools. Super glad Kingston was out in front of that, very happy. But I do know that part of that law said that you cannot suspend children for use of those cell
Sorry,
phones.
time's up.
I have the high school is still saying kids are gonna get suspended for illegal use of cell phones, so I want people to look into that, because I think that's
Okay,
illegal.
sorry,
Thanks.
time's up. That is all that is signed up.
That moves us into the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I know we're way behind, so I'll move quickly. So this year, I did put into the board library for this meeting the superintendent goals for this year, for an opportunity for you to review them, and actually opening up for discussion for anyone who has any questions.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
The redistricting, what is that gonna look like?
I don't know.
Okay.
So that's sort of things, over the last 4 years, the board has asked me to look at, our populations, our capacity in our buildings, where are we low, where are we high, look at transportation, and bring back just information on whether or not we need to make some changes as far as buildings, as far as our attendance zones. So, again, they've asked me this year, we've done several different pieces of work between these 4 years, but never came all the way to, to bring into the board, so that's what we're gonna do in December.
So it'll just be like you, your people, and the attorneys?
Sorry,
Whatever you
say
guys,
again?
well, your people and the attorneys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Great.
and we hired a transportation consultant who came in and showed us some different ways, different routing for students. So we've done several things over the last couple of years, we're just kind of putting that all together. And again, looking at our enrollment trends. Some buildings, we want to see our buildings be at about 85% capacity. That's like the sweet spot. We have some that are at 70% and some that are at 100%. So we want to take a look, if it's possible. Some places it's not, but if it's possible, can we make some shifts in our attendance zones? I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but I think it's just something the board wants to be aware of, whether it's a possibility or not.
Mrs. Kearns.
Thank you. I'd love to suggest in the goal number 1 to include something related to special education services. I think it would be really enlightening to understand the number of students that are being served with specific services and certain outcomes related to these 4 core areas of teaching and learning. So that's just a proposal there.
Thank you.
I wonder, for the sake of the public, if you should just highlight the 5 goals.
So,
A quick summary.
That's a very good point. Goal 1 was the superintendent will monitor and provide regular reports, data to the teaching and data to the Teaching and Learning Committee and the Board of Education on the implementation of 3 major educational initiatives. Those initiatives are our iReady initiative, our Core Knowledge Language Arts initiative, and our EduClimber initiative. Number 2 is superintendent in conjunction with the communications department will present the board with progress toward the achievement of the goals established by the district communication audit, including a review of the 24-25 plan and objectives. Goal 3 is the superintendent will present the board with the potential options for redistricting of our school district and our attendance zones. Goal number 4 is the superintendent will provide a board with updates on the $167.5 million district-wide capital project that's going on now. And goal number 5 is the superintendent will present a balanced school budget, school district budget to the Board of Education on April 21st.
Thank you. Mr. Ryder.
Attached to goal 3, can we add something in there? Well, are we doing this next? But can we consider adding something in there about transportation and, because we've always talked about how there's the mandate, and I don't know where that sits with the state, but I think there's more than a few board members that want to see us move towards electric school buses regardless of the mandate, and part of that has always been we have this potential redistricting and that could shift some things. So tied in with that goal, if we could see a transportation plan and
kind of an electrification.
Point of order, that's a lot to add on to the superintendent's goals at this. Can we do that somewhere else?
Are we accepting these tonight, or are we, this is
That was
just
my
the
understanding.
first discussion? So I don't.
That was my.
They are on the consent agenda.
So I don't know when else we would change it.
And the superintendent has basically opened the floor for any suggestions or ideas. So-
No, I think talking about transportation, talking about the electrification of our bus fleet, again, we use contractors, as most people know, so it's a hand in glove with them. But I think that's reasonable to put in there, and if we were looking at shortening bus routes, that would be an implication of how we could electrify our bus routes as well. So there's different options. So I think it's something that could be put in there.
It's my understanding that the requirement falls upon us, though, even if we use contractors.
It is, it does.
We have to
Correct.
move towards electrification, and so we just have to have a plan for that.
Yep. I think I could fit that in there.
And if our contractor doesn't, we're the ones that lose the funding, not the contractor.
Correct.
So it's an extremely important aspect.
But our contractors have not shown any indication that they are not interested in doing this.
Have they shown any that they are? Have
They
they
are.
started building?
They've started their planning as far as how they're gonna do it, and actually, first student right now is down in Rondout, right? With electric buses for Rondout School District, so it's happening.
Go over here, where it says 25, 26.
Thank you.
Yes, we're trying to identify the location of it in our files, in our digital files, so that everyone can see it.
Are you good, Nick? You got it. So go to October.
Dr. Collins.
Dr. Collins.
I don't actually know how to formulate this question in a very articulate way, but I'm very happy to see that you have a goal that still revolves around communications. And I recognize that it's really relying on the goal, the audit that was conducted, as well as I went to last year's presentations to try and find what the updates were at that point. And but what it's hard to extract from this goal is what those are and where your energies may be focused. And I don't know. Again, this is a hard thing to ask. 'Cause I think I'm looking for more concrete things, whether it's either reintroducing us to that audit and those particular goals to.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's kind of the point. So, you know, there's two pieces here. So I think I would like to reintroduce you to that audit. That was a pretty extensive, you know, there was a pretty big effort to make that happen, and show you where we came forward. We said, in year one, we're going to do these things, right? So we want to come back and say, okay, year one, this is what we did. Year two, this is what we did. This is where we're going with year three, and give you kind of, you know, I picture green bubbles. But the other thing is, I think there were many different board members then. So the efforts that we went through we hired a consultant. We did each board member at the time did one-on-one interviews with the consultant. So talked with administrators, went on the buildings, talked with principals and teachers, the things that were important at that time, and those are the things we've been working on. And you know, but through that time, sometimes priorities or new board members or whatever shift. So I think we're presenting that, but I think part of that will also be able to hear from people of what are there different priorities we want to focus on. And do we need to revisit another, you know, with elections every year, sometimes we have goals set by 3-year span goals that, you know, priorities change or people on the board change.
Right, and I would actually say that the needs of the community may
Correct.
change, right?
Yep.
And I think we've heard some of that tonight. So I'm just wondering, and in this goal then, it's really about reporting the progress. And I suppose I'm wondering if there's room to include language, or are we to understand that that includes a revision of the communication plan as needed in response to board discussion at that time?
Yeah, I actually met with the communications team yesterday or today. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was yesterday. And you know, there is a big new push around safety. You know, as far as you know, our communications are concerned, and our website and all this. So there's safety and security rather than we want to talk about too. So there are other goals that are the parts of this. So I think we'll talk about trends that we see and what we can possibly do to adapt or adopt them to as part of our goals.
Okay, so I would love to see language that just says, a slight amendment toward, I mean, you say reviewing, but but potentially revising those, you
Yeah,
know,
well, I
adapting.
think maybe
Maybe that's
the revisions
implicit,
may
but-
come out as part of the presentation.
Okay.
But I understand what you're
Okay,
saying.
but just now, I guess we've all been party to this, that I'd very much love to hear how we can update. I looked at last December's presentation and realized that there are green dots next to some areas I'm not sure that we would call totally green at this point, and so I want to be able to have those open for conversation about setting some priorities, so.
Dr. Bernabe?
Yeah, the goal number 2, again, on the communications, achievement of goals about the communications audit, I would like to, similar to what you have in goal 1, where you have elements that you're focused on, I'd like to see sort of elements that you'd be focused on. So again, I agree, the verb review for me is not enough. I'd like to understand how you're thinking about incorporation and that kind of thing more so. And again, I have a sort of question, and I don't know if we can answer it now, but do goals usually include what you want to get out of those goals? Or are these to me read as action items, right? These are the things that are going to happen, but I don't know.
Well, the audit itself is a goal.
Got
So
it.
there was
They
just
have.
every year goal,
Yep.
there were 1 year goal, 2 year goal, 3 year
Got
goal.
it.
The audit itself was a goal, so it's reviewing where we were achieving those goals.
Got
While
it.
recognizing at the same time that
That's
some
helpful.
of our goals may have changed
Got it.
over the last 2 years since we
Right.
did this.
So then again, I guess my main comment is, in terms of communications, being really specific about, just like you have iReady, Core Knowledge, Language Arts, and EduClimber, like that there might be 3 that you're really focused in on for the time period, that you feel like, based on the comments you've heard from the public and also the stuff we've been talking about internally, that we could focus in on, and instead of a general audit or review. Not audit. The audit's done. A review.
Mr. Lamb?
I'd actually like to thank you because we don't have any goals that you're returning to us in June, which makes it easier to do evaluation, number 1. Because every year it's tight to get everything done. You're going to get back. We're going to have everything in place to do your evaluation correctly, I think, and easier with it listening and when we ask that things didn't all come due in June. So thank you.
Ms. Cosone?
I don't know that I want to see it specified necessarily as a goal in one, because I know we've got a long time frame, but I know board members not every board member is aware of the changes that are coming down the pike for graduation measures and pathways, and I think something has to be said at some point, okay?
Any other questions or comments? I would just like to note that Dr. Patalino developed these goals based on our evaluation of him, the year-end evaluation last year. So, and I think they identify the 5 primary areas of responsibility that are for the superintendent, so. Mr. Ryder?
And in the absence of our, as a board.
Right, we haven't completed our
Typically,
goals.
we complete our goals and then the superintendent, so.
Yes.
I'm sure that will be discussed during some portion of time, but whether it's new business or whatever, when we can schedule that.
Yeah.
Not discuss the goals, but the time for the meeting.
That's all you have?
Oh, no, that's all I have. Goals. Sorry. I do want to also give an update on our construction over at Bailey. As you know, there was some of the work that got pushed off into the fall, and that work's being done on second shift. We did have a facilities committee meeting yesterday. Mr. Spicer will report on that next meeting, but just wanted to, there's really, of the things that I reported out a couple of weeks ago, there's really only 2 or 3 things that have not hit that deadline, and most of them were because of back ordering, and really it's about things getting there. Shades, so some of the shades had to be reordered, so we expect them to arrive we expect them to arrive next week. There's some problems with a couple of doors door handles, that kind of thing. We expect that to be fixed this coming week. So we really are in good shape as far as what our construction and our construction managers and our contractors said that how they would be there. I was pleased to see, I mean, we had 19 open items, and I think there's 5 that are still being addressed, and they're not major issues that we're concerned. You know, obviously the health and safety issues were taken care of before we opened the school, but a lot of this is cosmetic, but still we wanted to have them done. You know, for those of you who've been in Edson, you know the Edson administrative suite is not complete, so we're waiting on doors there. It's things like that. But I was pleased in our meeting yesterday to find out where we were. So to update you from 2 weeks ago, we have made a lot of progress, and I think we're going to say probably in 2 weeks our contract will be out of there until spring. Couple of quick things, just a reminder for people watching at home and parents who are here, there's no school Monday, no school on the 13th. Also for people who are interested in our homecoming festivities, Friday, October 17th will be our high school homecoming and football game versus Washingtonville at the stadium. And lastly, just for the public and for the board, reminders, our policy committee meeting will be October 10th at 9 o'clock right here at Mahar in this room. Our teaching and learning committee will be October 27th, again, 9:30 in this room. And audit and finance will be October 28th here in this room at 9 o'clock. So it's 9:30, 9. But that's all I have at this point.
Dr. Burndy.
Could we receive, thank you, could we receive just 2 updates? One, by when you'll provide a second opportunity out at GW to meet with parents and community, and the second is just an update on where you are at with immigrant family strategies and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Well, when I met with parents last Wednesday, you know, one of the things that I was asked was would I come back in about 3 weeks. I don't think it's going to be 3 weeks. I'm really thinking we get the next to come back. You know, that looks at Dr. Felicello's been there, but to have another opportunity like we had last Wednesday to people to come and ask questions and I answer the questions that I can to the best of my ability at that point in time.
Great.
But yeah.
And then on update on immigrant family strategy.
So I met with the new executive director of UIDN.
Victor.
I know his name is Victor. I can't remember the day. I knew his name was Victor. So we did we had a great meeting, and one of the things in our first meeting when we met with UIDN as well as also Rapid Response was trying to establish a point of communication, how we can make sure that we're communicating with each other regarding what we see and hear out in the community. So we've done that, and I think we feel pretty good about that. Also, Victor's going to help us with some training for some of our people. So on our superintendent's conference day on the 4th of November, he's going to do some training for our security team and our monitors. And Mr. Parker, who's our director of safety and prevention, is also going to create some other opportunities, maybe after school, for some of our people who need some extra training. So I think that's a good start. Obviously, we've got more to go, and we've kind of committed to continuing to talk and to work on things. And I think he's, one good thing is he brought a lot of different viewpoints to the table, which is great. And we're going to continue to collaborate and do the best we can to, kind of protect everyone and make sure everyone knows what they need to know and move forward.
Thank you.
Dr. Collins.
To that end, actually, do you have any updates on just school attendance in general?
Yes. We have not seen our attendance for September was about on par with what it was last year. So I usually check bi-weekly. This year I checked by more than that, but we were right about par as last year. So I mean, we haven't seen a huge dip in attendance. There are some days that we do see a huge dip, but then it didn't necessarily coincide with conversations that we knew of. That doesn't mean it didn't coincide with something else that other people knew of, but that we knew of. I mean, last Friday, it was a terrible day for attendance because you have Thursday off and then Friday. That's that's something we expect. It's pretty typical of schools, and so. But no, we haven't seen any. It's really on par. It's a little eerily similar.
Even by subgroup?
Even by subgroup.
Dr. Bernabé, and then Mr. Ryder.
And just to add to Dr. Collins' comment, it would be great if we could track it pretty tightly in this first part of the year, especially by subgroup, just because if there are any dips, even if it is temporary dips, it would be great to reach out to our partners in the room and say, hey, is there something going on that we haven't caught? So, I mean, we can keep asking, but also, we're going to ask. So, just it would be great. And if there is quantitative data that's coming out, I'd love to see it at some point. Thank you.
Mr. Ryder.
So at the last board meeting, both of our student reps and a member of the public brought up the bathrooms at KHS, and I'm just curious if there's been any conversations about that.
We've had several conversations about it, actually, and just this afternoon, we met as a group with the principal of Miller, Principal of Bailey, Ms. Bonneville, myself, Dr. Skorka, Rich Silverstein, who's the head of Health, PE, and Athletics, and Dr. Saletti, in looking at the problem of vaping, which that's what the problem is. The problem isn't the door, the problem is the vaping. So we're putting together a plan. Again, we have Sean Bailey, who's our student support counselor, who kind of tie him into that. So we are putting together kind of a multi-tiered plan between a lot of communication to family, parent nights to come out and to have conversations with the parents about the impact of not only the health impact, but the educational impact on our students who are vaping in school, and the safety issues that I brought up last week as far as vaping and turning on and setting off the alarms. So we're going to bring in we want to try to bring in some of our community-based organizations and our government organizations to help us. It needs a full court press, because it's very hard for us to compete with advertising. And the advertising is really something it looks awful great, doesn't it? And we learned that through tobacco forever. So we're going to try to do a multi-pronged approach to try to get our kids to stop vaping. And we've got some, and again, Dr. Saletti is working on some restorative approaches towards students who are vaping, and how we can possibly do something other than send kids home, to try to just kind of move in that direction.
Sophia, then Dr. Bernabé, then Mr. Ryder.
To follow up on that, I was wondering if you had any quantitative data on if vaping and having the bathroom doors open, has that decreased the amount of vaping in the bathroom?
I don't right now.
Okay, because I know that there's still been evacuations because of that, and I understand it's a matter of safety, but I'm unsure if opening of the bathroom doors is truly a deterrent to these people vaping in the bathrooms, because they are still doing it. I can still smell it. I'm just wondering if I know that you guys are exploring alternative methods to help decrease the population of vaping within the school, but I'm unsure if opening the doors is truly a deterrent or merely causing more issues in other areas.
Dr. Bernabé.
And just because we heard that there are still folks unclear about the policy for cell phone and suspensions in the high school. If you could just clarify what that policy is.
I've not signed a suspension for a student for a cell phone in 2 years.
Okay. And the policy, I think, if we could clarify that, yeah.
But just to clarify, there is a piece that if you use a cell phone in a way that is disruptive or otherwise, so there is a...
Yes. I mean, a certain type of use of a cell phone could result in a suspension, but having a cell phone, we're not suspending students.
And that's allowed under the law? I'm assuming that just because the law says you can't suspend for use of a cell phone, doesn't mean if you're harassing somebody by videotaping them.
I don't think the law is specific as far as that's concerned, but as far as we're concerned, if someone's using the cell phone in an inappropriate way, maybe to, film another student inappropriately or something of that nature, that's the violation. Having the phone is not the violation, although that's part of the violation, that's a different consequence. But just having a phone, I haven't suspended anybody for having a phone.
One more, then Mr. Fitzpatrick.
So just back to the vapes. I know your team had done quite a bit or some research back when I was approaching the subject of weapons detection devices. And are you aware of any of those systems that would detect vapes? I know some don't.
Right.
But
As
are
far
there
as the
ones
weapons
that
detection.
you, like Open Gate or others, do they?
Well, I think yes, on some levels. So a lot of the vapes are plastic now also though.
Right.
So those aren't gonna go off on a detector necessarily. Metal will go off depending on the setting of a certain weapons detection system. You know, I mean, I think that we don't wanna catch kids vaping in the bathroom. We want to prevent students from vaping in the bathroom, you know, so I think there's the same type of thing with the students with vapes, you know, we don't want to catch kids with vapes necessarily, we want to keep kids from using vapes in school or using vapes, period. So I think that's where we've kind of put our efforts.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Last year at the safety committee, we were talking about installing things like that, and one of the things that was talked about was doing outreach with Dan Savona. I guess I would think he might be able to do more than advertisers could on awareness, or I don't know, slapping literally anything on a pizza box. I don't know. Can you maybe
I can ask
see if
Mr.
he's
Parker,
interested?
I
I don't know him. I
Parker,
don't know if that's his
Correct.
thing. I have no idea, but I don't even know who brought it up.
So they put messages on pizza boxes?
I don't know if they don't do that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I just trying to
He's just,
clarify.
he's just doing outreach with Dan Savona, you know? I mean, I don't know if you know him, could reach out or have Marie. Make it work.
Any other questions, Dr. Powley?
Oh, I have one other. Like a sporting event or any other school-sponsored activity, what power do any of us have to be like, yeah, take that thing outside when they see someone, parent, anyone hitting their vape stick?
Well, none, really. I mean, as far as positional authority, it's none. You know, but I think as a, you know, those are
as a citizen.
As a citizen, absolutely. And you know, I'm not sure if the health department has gotten to the vaping, but I mean, you know, smoking on school grounds is $250 fine. You know, people don't realize that, but so I'm not sure if they've moved that to smoking and vaping. I'd have to check, but yeah, I mean, as far as positional authority, nothing. But as a citizen, yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be vaping at any of our sporting events on school property. And Dietz Stadium is school property when it's being used for school events.
Is that the city's fine?
What's that?
The city's fine?
It's a county fine, I think.
Oh. At Dietz Stadium, I'm not gonna call the county, I'm gonna call.
No, I know, they just let that there. Yeah, it could be a city fine. It's a county law.
Any other items for your
Nothing for me.
report? Any other questions or comments for Dr. Carlino?
Yeah,
Dr.
just
Bernadette?
final follow-up on the phones thing. Can you just check in with your folks just to make sure there's consistency around that suspension? Not necessarily that you used it, but just in terms of, I know we went through, I don't remember which, it was a policy committee, where with a fine-tooth comb, we shifted some language around to make it really explicit. So there may be some folks who are used to, they're in their own mind, not due to your direction, but that confused that the use of the phone for problematic reasons versus the actual not having the phone in the pouch. Sorry, what's the name of the pouch? Yonder pouch, excuse me. So, you know, just if would you mind letting us just taking that action, because it keeps coming up over and over again, and I'm not sure why it keeps coming up, so I just wanted to make sure that there's not a lack of clarity around that distinction between the use of a phone for non-school purposes and just the having of the phone out of the pouch or whatever it is. Thank you.
And I will check with Dr. Skorkel also about,
Cool.
as far as the, have the doors created a difference as far as her reports on vaping in the building.
Thank you.
Okay. Sophia, it is time for the student rep report. And you may or may not have anything to report, but we'll give you the chance to
I have a couple of things to say.
Okay.
So Benny and I, the other student representative, have been working hard to survey throughout the Kingston High School, and we're hoping to expand that even further to perhaps the middle schools and the elementary schools to really get a check-in with people's feelings, issues, and all of things conclusive to that. But currently we haven't come up with anything that would be constructive in this environment to discuss. So instead, I'd like to share a little bit of good news and things that have been happening in KHS that could perhaps bring some positive energy when a lot of the things discussed here are a bit more somber of note. So currently, since school has been more in session than just the beginning of the school year, I would say that student level of happiness has overall increased. People have been more engaged in clubs. There have been activities from teachers. I know recently I launched rockets in physics class, and I would say student engagement has been going up. And I think that's partially due to teachers, it's due to field trips, it's due to clubs, it's due to extracurriculars. But overall, I would say the environment at Kingston High School right now is doing a lot better than at the beginning of the year, and I think that's due to everyone's work here, everyone's families, everyone's hard work and dedication. So that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thanks for
That's
that.
great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That brings us to the Board of Education Committee reports with audit and finance.
Sure. So I'm reading off my phone because this is where I have my minutes. But Audit and Finance met on September 25th. We reviewed June Treasurer's report. We talked about the risk assessment and internal audit. Mark Baudet from Questar BOCES reviewed the internal audit on Law 2D. We went through each finding. There's money left on the table with Medicaid procedures, and the administration's working on it. It's getting better, but there's still a lot of work to do. Extra classroom report. Mr. Quisnell and Mr. Baudet will be visiting the middle schools and high schools for training with student treasurers over the next week, which was last week, 2 weeks ago. We have our external auditors. They're reviewing statements. Mr. Healy will present to the board in the upcoming months. And then we discussed the possibility of adding a community member. We had, like other committees, put out the call at the same time in the summer, but did not receive any applicants. I know Ms. Siri has put out, I've seen it on the website, and now we've gotten 2. So we'll discuss those at the upcoming meeting. And once I receive those resumes, then I'll pass them on, or you can just pass them on. The only piece of new business is we discussed the housing tax exemptions that were passed the previous night. Dr. Paolino and Ms. Carbon gave an update on how it will fiscally impact the district, which I think it was fairly minimally.
Yes. De minimis.
De minimis. And we adjourned after about an hour.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, you have a question?
Yeah, the names of the applicants who are applicants.
I'm waiting until it's closed on the 10th to give the committee the names of all the applicants at the same time.
Oh, it's still open.
Yeah, it's
Thank
open
you.
until the 10th.
Thank you.
Great.
And that, no, if we publicly share the names of people
Not
not
before,
selected.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's open.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Ryder? That brings us to policy, but we don't have a report.
No, because we'll be meeting on Friday.
Okay.
Do we need to postpone anything, or we just not take action on it?
We're not taking action on it,
Okay.
so it'll go to committee first.
I'm sorry, which one?
The,
What are you talking about?
Special meetings.
The special meetings,
2320.
2320. That brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any items that trustees would like pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, if we could have a motion to accept the consent.
So
agenda.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
So our consent agenda is approved. We have no donations for this evening. So that brings us to old business. Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, Anthony, I thought you were
Nope,
going
nope,
to.
sorry.
Dr. Collins.
I'm assuming this is old business, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think we do need to consider very seriously a time to find together, finish our board goals. It's been challenging. We've had a lot of issues bringing us together for different reasons. But at this point, it's getting a little dire, so I'm wondering if we can maybe initiate, I can just putting on the radar at this point, but can we initiate a survey to do this soon? Or are there other thoughts?
That's a great idea.
We definitely need to get this
Yeah.
done. If you recall, in our first session, we have goals. It's the action steps that we have not finalized.
Yeah.
So,
And data.
but we can't finalize the goals until we know what the action steps are gonna look like, so. Dr. Bernadette?
Yeah, and just to add that it's really important for the superintendent to be able to see what our goals are. And we talked about that in another meeting. So just to say, like, thank you for your patience, Dr. Catalino, with us not having our stuff ready to share with you.
So I will send out an email tomorrow, and then please answer as soon as possible.
So
Mr. Ryder.
I will not be at the next meeting because I'm getting a colonoscopy that day. Get screened, everybody. Get screened. Not a big deal. But I'm asking that the goals not be, scheduled during that time.
I would rather do it before then, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do it on Wednesday, since we are Wednesday night? I mean, is it possible just to meet for?
We've done that.
Next Wednesday? No, well, I mean, like, and get them done.
The 15th.
It's just a conflict for me.
Yeah, I schedule things in between.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Wednesdays aren't just emails for any board meeting.
Yeah, the doodle polls are the.
Do the poll, we'll respond. Thank you. Probably be a Microsoft form, but yes.
That's great.
Fancy.
Any other old business? Any new business? Dr. Bernabé?
Yeah, I just wanted us to find time, and I read this in an email, to spend time understanding the current, whoa.
Sorry, guys.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. I thought someone was trying to get in. He touched the microphone. Yeah, I'd love us to spend a good chunk of time reviewing what the current way that the district and the board communicates with the public is, and understanding what's been done in the past year, especially for myself as a new board member, and then to take all that rich information and to collectively talk about what the plan is. Of course, Dr. Catalino has the communications audit that he has a point of reference around, and then we as the board have our own processes, but I think it's clear that there's always room for improvement, so I'm hoping that we can find time. I had proposed by the end of this month, again, knowing that may be nearly impossible, but the Halloween week was the proposal I had made, for us to really have a conversation about what communications has looked like back with the public, what kinds of communication works and doesn't work, what we've heard from folks about not just what we think works, but actually what we've heard back about what works and doesn't work. And then also, are there technologies and other tools that we could be using so that everyone feels comfortable communicating with the district and then therefore us receiving those data. So, yeah, I think it's a really fantastic moment to be able to do that. And so I don't know if that's called new business or old business, frankly. It's a little bit of both, but I would like to propose something like that.
Dr. Collins?
Given how hard it's been to actually get our goals completed, maybe this is a little lofty. No. I was suggesting that we know that communication is a goal for us, and I sometimes in the past those conversations happen in the context of that goal.
Wonderful.
So what does that look like, and what has worked in the past, and what hasn't worked in the past?
Great.
So if we can arrange a goals meeting for us in the next week to 10 days, maybe that's a place where at least we could initiate if we can't complete it. But if, when we're identifying our action items, I'm wondering if that might begin to move toward the kind of thing you're talking about.
Yeah, because I'm hearing action steps from here, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Agreed.
Perfect.
That's a really awesome, I think, first step, and I do think we need more time than that, but I think it's a really good initial kind of outlaying of things. What I think I'm also proposing is internally and externally, we've talked about communications being a goal of ours, and a little tiny chunk of time is not going to help us really get started on it in a serious way. It'll help us outline what we're thinking, but I'm also proposing after that goals conversation, for there to be a concerted time that we've all agreed to. I'm proposing something like 2 or 3 hours, like a real retreat on it. And I'd be happy to help organize and thinking about what that looks like with our chair, something that I think a lot about, and I think a lot of us do in our professional lives. And so I just think it's worth our time. I think we've heard from the public and we've heard from ourselves that it's critical enough. But I think that's a great idea, is to start it off that way.
So,
Dr. Collins?
So if I could just reply also, you're right, I don't think the conversation would be complete during that time, but I do wonder if, as part of our goals, it is that we hold a
great
3-hour retreat around, or 2-hour retreat, or whatever it is,
Great.
around structuring our communications as a board. And so then we can, so even if we don't identify a time for that right now, we could set a timeline for that within the context of the
Great.
goals. So
Sounds
maybe part of it's just minimizing the number of emails that Karen sent out about different meetings, but also just to say that once we have that conversation, it may be that that's the form that seems the most logical for us, but it may be that it's actually a series of 2 short meetings facilitated
Sure,
by different
sure.
people. You know, it might
Sure.
come up that there's a different format once
Agreed.
we start talking about it.
I think that's right, yeah.
So but I completely agree, myself. I think that we continue to see that as a gap in our strengths. I guess that's saying it's a weakness.
And just to piggyback on some other things, to continue the communication conversation, we do have new board members who, there was a report that was an audit, perhaps that could be placed in the library so that our board members who have come on can actually see it, to reflect on it before we revise, refine.
That would be great. Dr. Barnaby and then Mr. Lamb.
And I like everything that's being said. I just want to name that I think this is urgent. I think this is, when we talk about urgent issues, I think this is an urgent issue. And I know that we may have differences of opinion about how we spend our time as a board, but to me, this feels urgent enough that I'm also happy to help with the administrative aspect of it, if that's part of what's getting in the way. You know, I'll find a space for us if the space isn't being used, but it's urgent enough to me that I'd like us during that time to set a really close date inside of which we will do the labor, however we split it up, hour here, hour there, external facilitator, whatever it is, but I just don't want us to put it off.
Well, I think our goals are urgent, so it
True.
falls into the category. So, Mr. Lamb.
I don't disagree with anything that's being said, what I trying to put a meeting together last minute like this. We used to have workshops in between board meetings, and it was when committees met. And I don't want to go back to that, but on the calendar, if we want to have something happen, we should have a meeting a month scheduled on the calendar, so that we're not scheduling events, et cetera, because it's gonna, last year, it took us, it took us 2 months to have a meeting because we couldn't get the board together. And if I know that, the 10th of November, I need to be available because I'm not gonna schedule something on the 10th of November, calendar is starting to fill for people. And as a musician, my calendar is filling. All right, so and as other people, our calendar to fill, we need to have, when we set our calendar, a day, I don't know, a day every other month, a day a month, that we can have a retreat meeting, that we can have those things. But to try and do this every time we come up to it at the last minute is frustrating, and we don't ever get anything done.
So you're
promoting having 6 more board meetings a year.
You know what?
Basically.
But we don't have to use them, do we?
Mhm.
If we have it available and there's nothing that needs to be done, we don't have to use it. What I'm suggesting is we
I agree.
book it and then we use it or don't use it.
Well, Dr. Collins and I maybe could look at the annotated board calendar and build in some dates that, that we can hold.
Love it.
Right, we know what needs to be achieved,
Right.
so there are certain things we
Well,
put,
and if we
make
don't need it,
placeholders
we
for.
don't need it.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we can look at that.
Compromise.
Any other new business? Board announcements, board member announcements? Mr. Spicer.
Oh, you can go first.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
I just wanted to encourage everyone to go see the middle school musicals and to really make sure you prioritize the theater and arts programs on your calendars if you can. Even attending one is a real show of support, and these students work incredibly hard. I mean, it is like a full-time job for some of these commitments. And so as much as we elevate and celebrate our wonderful sports events, which I also think we should support, our arts and music programs are really important to me to celebrate. So I'd like to invite all of you to join me at some of those events.
Do you have any dates to share?
I know there was one at Bailey that was shared. I don't, it was sort of an impromptu announcement.
So
But I
please
know
go.
the district does a great job at highlighting them.
I know for the high school, the biggest musical event coming up right now is Fall Fanfare next weekend at Dietz Stadium, and that is the biggest show for we can give you guys. So I feel like anyone interested in supporting our musical programs should be there. It is quite a show.
And that's on Sunday, correct?
Yes.
Not this Sunday.
No,
Right.
next.
It's like
Now, is
12:30
it-
to about 5. So just know you got a lot of time to get there.
It's a
And we
fanfare.
try to find out exactly when our band's coming on, and I can pass along.
I can find
I
that.
can
Text-
probably find that right
text
now.
messages
Yeah,
and-
these guys.
I think it's second to last or third to
Yeah,
last,
it's
so
late.
it's
It's late in the
3:30 or
proceedings,
something.
yes.
That's good.
Not that I.
Mr. Spicer, then Mr. Lamb.
The Salvation Army of Ulster County asked me to let our parents, grandparents, and guardians know that they are taking applications for their Christmas tree program. They need our parents to go to their Facebook page to apply to get toys and gifts for their children this holiday season. So I hope all of our parents do that. And another announcement, I wanted to thank Mr. Lamb for the outstanding pumpkin cheesecake he gifted us with tonight, and provide my personal support that he continue to practice.
Fantastic cheesecake.
Mr. Lamb.
First, wonderful open house at the high school last night and well attended, and the high school students were a big part of that. But it was a nice evening. The other thing is, Sunday this week, you can see the band in Arlington, and you'll see some other bands that you won't see at ours, but plan the whole time at Fall Fanfare, because for the first time, 9 bands and multiple bands in our class. So you'll be able, very often, we're the only ones in our class at Fall Fanfare. This year, you're going to see multiple bands in our class, and you'll see how wonderful our program is in comparison. Oh, not that I'm saying that.
Oh, no.
Mr. Ryder.
I'm only going to bring this up. I don't normally highlight single specific sports teams, but it's happened since I've been here. So, girls varsity soccer has not gone to playoffs in 7 years. They won their game tonight, which makes them eligible, which means they will be going to the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to them and Coach Weisenberg for. And we have lots of other exceptional teams that will also be going to the playoffs. I'm pretty sure boys soccer is already qualified as well, but. Wanted to highlight that because it was new.
Cool.
Any other, Mr. Fitzpatrick?
I'm still trying to workshop the language with my people, but as an individual, my principles stand firmly against the president's BBB or dumpster doo-doo fire, I'm calling it.
Okay. Mr. Spicer?
Thank you.
Mr. Lamb?
Thank you.
Mr. Spicer?
Thank you.
That's all I want to say about that. I'm gonna call more attention to it, but.
So lots of,
Mr. Running?
lots of municipalities have put something out. Is that what you're working on?
Nope, I'm
Okay.
saying.
Because there are, I've seen several, the city of Kingston, county of Ulster, and the county of Ulster has it this month, and so I've seen resolutions. What's that?
City table did last.
Okay.
They did.
The Funky Judo dumpster fire? Yeah.
Any other announcements? That brings us to public comment. Anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Hearing none, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Um,